الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Today we're going to talk about the simple past tense. And to talk about the simple past tense, we'll have to talk about regular verbs and irregular verbs. We're also going to talk about the affirmative forms, the negative forms, and the question forms of the simple past. Now let's look at the past of regular verbs. In Arabic, ماضي الأفعال الخاضعة للقواعد. Let's look at some examples. Number 1, the mechanic repaired my car yesterday. Number 2, the neighbors traveled to France 2 days ago. Number 3, Chris painted his house last week. 4, Leila published her first book in 2000. Now, these verbs are in the simple past. How do we know they are in the past? We have time expressions: yesterday, 2 days ago, last week, and in 2000. And how do we know that the verbs of the sentences are in the past? We have ed at the end: repaired, traveled, painted, published. So, as you can notice, we make the past of regular verbs by adding ed at the end of the verb. So we have repair as the infinitive. We add ed to make the past, so we get repaired. Travel plus ed, we get traveled. Paint plus ed, we get painted. Publish plus ed, we get published. This is the general rule. But there are some special cases, and that's what we are going to look at now. Number 1, my brother lived in Lyon last year. So the verb is live. To make the past, or the simple past, we add d, just d, not ed, because we have e at the end of the verb. For example, close, closed. Smile, smiled. Hate, hated. Like, liked. To make the past with these verbs, we add d only because the verbs end in e. This is rule number 1. Now, rule number 2, or case number 2. My brother stayed in Lyon last week. The verb here is stay. To make the past, we add ed. We can see that the verb ends in y, but before the y, there is a vowel. What is a vowel? In English, there are 5 vowels: a, e, I, o, and u. And when there is a vowel before y, we add ed to the verb to make the past. For example, play, played. Enjoy, enjoyed. Delay, delayed. Obey, obeyed. Number 3, my brother studied in Lyon last year. The verb here is study. To make the past, we make some changes. So, as you can see, the verb has y at the end, but there is no vowel before y. There is no a, there is no e, there is no I, there is no o, there is no u. In this case, we change the y to I and we add ed. For example, carry, carried. Apply, applied. Harry, harried. Copy, copied. The letters here before the y are R in carry, L in apply, R in Harry, and P in copy. That's why we change the y to I and we add ed to make the past. Number 4, my brother shopped in Lyon last month. The verb is shop. To make the past, we double the P and add ed. Why do we double the P? Or why do we double the last consonant? Because the verb is one syllable. It's just one part. In Arabic, الفعل يتكون من مقطع صوتي واحد فقط. And there is one vowel. For example, in shop, there is H-O-P. So the vowel is only one. Let's look at the other examples. Plan. There is L-A-N. Beg. B-E-G. Hag. H-U-G. Stop. T-O-P. So when there are two vowels, you don't double the consonant. But when there is only one vowel, you have to double the consonant. So plan becomes planned with double N. Beg becomes begged with double G. Hag becomes hagged with double G. And stop becomes stopped with double P. Number 5. My brother regretted his trip to Lyon. The verb is regret. So the verb is regretted. We double the last consonant. Why do we double the last consonant? In example number 4, we saw that the verb is one syllable and it has one vowel. That's why we doubled the last consonant. In number 5, the verb is two syllables. Admit, permit, prefer, occur, regret. So there are two syllables. But the second syllable is stressed. So we say regret, not regret. Regret, admit, permit, prefer, occur. In Arabic كنقولوا المقطع الثاني هو اللي عليه التشديد، هو اللي مشدد. إذا كان المقطع الثاني هو اللي مشدد, we double the consonant. So regret becomes regretted. Admit becomes admitted. Permit becomes permitted. Prefer becomes preferred. Occur becomes occurred. Now there are other examples which are different. For example, cancel, listen, suffer, and visit. Cancel is different. It has two syllables, but the first syllable is stressed. So we say cancel, not cancel. Cancel, listen, suffer, visit. In this case, we don't double the last consonant. بالنسبة لهذه الأمثلة الأربعة, cancel, listen, suffer, visit, عندهم تشديد في المقطع الأول، الجزء الأول من الكلمة، وبالتالي ما كنضربلوش هذيك لا كونسون اللي كان في الأخير. So you say cancel, cancelled, listen, listened, suffer, suffered, visit, visited. So let's look at the 5 cases. Case number 1, the verb has E at the end. So we add D only. Live, lived. Case number 2. The verb has Y at the end, but there is a vowel before Y. So we add ED. Stay, stayed. Case number 3. The verb has Y at the end, but there is no vowel before Y. There is a consonant. So we change the Y to I and we add ED. Study, studied. Case number 4. The verb has one syllable only and one vowel. So we double the consonant at the end and we add ed. Shop, shopped. Number 5. The verb has two syllables. Regret. And the stress is on the second syllable. Regret. So the verb, the form is regretted. We double the last consonant and we add ed. Now, apart from these 5 cases, the general rule is verb plus ed, without making any changes. Now we move on to the past of irregular verbs. In Arabic, ماضي الأفعال غير الخاضعة للقواعد. يعني هاد الأفعال اللي غنتكلموا عليهم دابا ما خاضعينش للقواعد اللي كنا هضرنا عليهم. Let's look at some examples. The mechanic drove my car yesterday. The neighbors went to France 2 days ago. Driss sold his house last week. Leila wrote her first book in 2000. How do we know that these sentences are in the past? There are time expressions that refer to the past. Yesterday, 2 days ago, last week, in 2000. How do we know that the verbs are in the past? There is no ed at the end. Why? Because these verbs are not regular, they are irregular. ما خاضعينش القاعدة. So drive becomes drove, go becomes went, sell becomes sold, and write becomes wrote. We cannot tell you how to change from one form to another because there is no rule. So you have to learn these forms by heart. That's the only way. More examples, more verbs. Buy becomes bought in the past. See becomes saw. Take becomes took. Speak becomes spoke. Sleep becomes slept. Have becomes had. Now let's move on to the negative forms of the simple past. We make the negative form of the simple past with didn't plus the infinitive of the verb. Examples. The mechanic repaired my car yesterday. The negative form. The mechanic didn't repair my car yesterday. You can see that we have didn't plus the infinitive of the verb repair. Number 2. The neighbors traveled to France 2 days ago. The negative form is the neighbors didn't travel to France 2 days ago. We have didn't and the infinitive of the verb travel. Driss sold his house last week. The negative form is Driss didn't sell his house last week. So we have didn't and the infinitive form of the verb sold, which is sell. Leila wrote her first book in 2000. Leila didn't write her first book in 2000. We have didn't plus the infinitive form of wrote, which is write. Now, the question forms. We make the question form with did plus the infinitive. Let's look at some examples. The mechanic repaired my car yesterday. The question is, did the mechanic repair your car yesterday? Number 2, the neighbors traveled to France 2 days ago. Question, did the neighbors travel to France 2 days ago? Number 3, Driss sold his car last week. The question is, did Driss sell his house last week? Number 4, Leila wrote her first book in 2000. The question is, did Leila write her first book in 2000? Now, the 4 questions are made with did plus the infinitive form of the verb. In number 1, did plus repair. Number 2, did and travel. Number 3, did and sell. Number 4, did and write. So you can see that in the negative form and in the question form, things are very simple. There is no difference between regular and irregular verbs. All you have to do is use didn't plus the infinitive form of any verb to make the negative, or did plus the infinitive form of any verb to make a question. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention and see you next time, inshallah.